Okay, we're back with finishing off chapter 7 of Leviticus. A portion of the priests, a portion for the priests. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Give these further instructions to the Israelites. When you present a peace offering to the Lord, bring part of it as a special gift to the Lord. Present it to him with your own hands as an offering given to the Lord by fire. Bring the fat of the animal together with the breast and present it to the Lord by lifting it up before him. Then the priest will burn the fat on the altar, but the breast will belong to Aaron and his sons. You are to give the right thigh of your peace offering to the priest as a gift. The right thigh must always be given to the priest who sprinkles the blood and offers the fat of the peace offering. For I have designated the breast and the right thigh for the priests. It is their regular share of the peace offering brought by the Israelites. This is their share and has been set apart for Aaron and his descendants from the offerings given to the Lord by fire, from the time they were appointed to serve the Lord as priests. The Lord commanded that the Israelites were to give their portions to the priests as their regular share from the time of the priest's anointing. This regulation applies throughout the generations to come. These are the instructions for the whole burnt offering, the grain offering, the sin offering, the guilt offering, the ordination offering, and the peace offering. The Lord gave these instructions to Moses on Mount Sinai when he commanded the Israelites to bring their offerings to the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. Leviticus chapter 8, Ordination of the priests. The Lord said to Moses, "Now bring Aaron and his sons, along with their special clothing, the anointing oil, the bull for the sin offering, the 2 rams, and the basket of unleavened bread, to the entrance of the tabernacle. Then call the entire community of Israel to meet you there." So Moses followed the Lord's instructions, and all the people assembled on the tabernacle entrance. Moses announced to them, "The Lord has commanded what I am now going to do." Then he presented Aaron and his sons and washed them with water. He clothed Aaron with a embroidered tunic and tied the sash around his waist. He dressed him in the robe of the ephod, along with the ephod itself, and attached the ephod with its decorative sash. Then Moses placed the chest piece on Aaron and put the Urim and the Thummim inside it. He placed on Aaron's head the turban with the gold medallion at its front, just as the Lord had commanded him. Then Moses took the anointing oil and anointed the tabernacle and everything in it, thus making them holy. He sprinkled the altar 7 times, anointing it and all its utensils and the wash basin and its pedestal, making them holy. And then he poured some of the anointing oil on Aaron's head, thus anointing him, excuse me, and making him holy for his work. Next, Moses presented Aaron's sons and clothed them with their embroidered tunics, their sashes, and their turbans, just as the Lord had commanded him. Then Moses brought in the bull for the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on his head, as Moses slaughtered it. Moses took some of the blood and with his finger put it on the 4 horns of the altar to purify it. He poured out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. In this way, he set the altar apart as holy and made atonement for it. He took all the fat around the internal organs, the lobe of the liver, and the 2 kidneys and their fat, and he burned them all on the altar. The rest of the bull, including its hide, meat, and dung, was burned outside the camp, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then Moses presented the ram to the Lord for the whole burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on its head as Moses slaughtered it. Then Moses took the ram's blood and sprinkled it against the sides of the altar. Next he cut the ram into pieces and burnt the head, some of his pieces, and the fat on the altar. After washing the internal organs and the legs with water, Moses burnt the entire ram on the altar as a whole burnt offering. It is an offering given to the Lord by fire, very pleasing to the Lord. All this was done just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Next Moses presented the second ram, which was the ram of ordination. Aaron and his sons I don't think I pronounced that right. Sorry, guys. Aaron and his sons laid their hands on its head as Moses slaughtered it. Then Moses took some of its blood and put it on the lobe of Aaron's right ear, the thumb of his right hand, and the big toe of his right foot. Next he presented Aaron's sons and put some of the blood on the lobe of their right ears, the thumb of their right hands, and the big toe of their right foot. He then sprinkled the rest of the blood against the sides of the altar. Next he took the fat, including the fat from the tail, the fat from the internal organs, the lobe of the liver, and the 2 kidneys with their fat, along with the right thigh. On top of this he placed a loaf of unleavened bread, a cake of unleavened bread soaked with olive oil, and a thin wafer spread with olive oil. All these were taken from the basket of bread made without yeast that was placed in the Lord's presence. He gave all these to Aaron and his sons, and he presented the portions by lifting them up before the Lord. Moses then took all the offerings back and burnt them on the altar on top of the burnt offering as an ordination. That just sounds wrong. Offering. It was an offering given to the Lord by fire, very pleasing to the Lord. Then Moses took the breast and lifted it up to the Lord's presence. This was Moses' share of the ram ordination, just as the Lord had commanded him. Next, Moses took some of the anointing oil and some of the blood that was on the altar, and he sprinkled them on Aaron and his clothing, and on his sons and their clothing. In this way, he made Aaron and his sons and their clothing holy. Then Moses said to Aaron and his sons, "Boil the rest of the meat in the tabernacle entrance, and eat it along with the bread that is in the basket of the ordination offerings, just as I commanded you. Any meat or bread that is left over must be burnt up. Do not leave the tabernacle entrance for 7 days, for that is the time it will take to complete the ordination ceremony. What has been done today was commanded by the Lord in order to make atonement for you. Remember, you must stay at the entrance of the tabernacle day or night for 7 days, doing everything the Lord requires. If you fail this, you will die. This is what the Lord has said." So Aaron and his sons did everything the Lord had commanded through Moses. Leviticus chapter 9. The priests began their work. After the ordination ceremony on the 8th day, Moses called together Aaron and his sons and the leaders of Israel. He said to Aaron, "Take a young bull for a sin offering and a ram for a whole burnt offering, both with no physical defects, and present them to the Lord. Then tell the Israelites to take the male goat of a sin offering for themselves, and a year calf and a year-old lamb for the whole burnt offering, each with no physical defects. Also tell them to take a bull and a ram for a peace offering, and flour mixed with olive oil for a grain offering. Tell them to present all these offerings to the Lord, because the Lord will appear to them today." So the people brought all these things to the entrance of the tabernacle, just as Moses had commanded, and the whole community came and stood there in the Lord's presence. Then Moses told them, "When you have followed these instructions from the Lord, the glorious presence of the Lord will appear to you." Then Moses said to Aaron, "Approach the altar and present your sin offering, your whole burnt offering, to make an atonement for yourself. Then present the offering to make atonement for the people, just as the Lord had commanded." So Aaron went to the altar and slaughtered the calf as a sin offering for himself. His sons brought him the blood, and he dipped his finger into it and put it on the horns of the altar. He poured out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. Then he burned on the altar the fat, the kidneys, and the lobe of the liver from the sin offering, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. The meat and the hide, however, he burned outside the camp. Next, Aaron slaughtered the animal for the whole burnt offering. His sons brought him the blood, and he sprinkled it against the sides of the altar. They handed the animal to him piece by piece, including the head, and he burnt each part on the altar. Then he washed the internal organs and the legs, and also burned them on the altar as a whole burnt offering. Next, Aaron presented the sacrifices for the people, and he slaughtered the people's goat and presented it as their sin offering, just as he had done previously for himself. Then he brought the whole burnt offering and presented it into a prescribed way. He also brought the grain offering, burning a handful of the flour on the altar in addition to the regular morning burnt offering. Then Aaron slaughtered the bull and the ram for the people's peace offering. His sons brought him the blood, and he sprinkled it against the sides of the altar. Then he took the fat of the bull and the ram, and the fat of the tail and from the internal organs, along with the kidneys and the lobe of the liver. He placed these fat parts on top of the breasts of these animals, and then burnt them on the altar. Aaron then lifted up the breasts and the right thighs as an offering to the Lord, just as Moses had commanded. After that, Aaron raised his hands toward the people and blessed them. Then, after presenting the sin offering, the whole burnt offering, and the peace offering, he stepped down from the altar. Next, Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle, and when they came back out, they blessed the people again, and the glorious presence of the Lord appeared to the whole community. Fire blazed forth from the Lord's presence and consumed the burnt offering and the fire and the fat on the altar. When the people saw all this, they shouted with joy and fell face down on the ground. Okay, and with that, I'll be back later today with Leviticus chapter 10.